In this video, I'm going to help you decide for yourself if you should be using caffeine, and whether it's just a vice or a tool that can help you be more productive in life. I always had Coke or whatever around the holidays. I'd probably drink too much as a kid. Never had it too often. I was about 14 when I started drinking energy drinks. I'd drink one or two and stay up all night playing video games, or sometimes to study, which was also just playing video games. And occasionally I'd have periods where I was drinking one almost every day. I never had too bad withdrawal. Every so often, just by accident, I'd stop drinking them and I'd be fine. But I knew a lot of people who had a really hard time getting off them. They had to drink one every single morning. Imagine that, just drinking this chemical mixture every morning. It's kind of nasty when you think about it. It's nothing real in there. It's just poison. But anyway, I never had too hard of a time getting off caffeine. At some point I decided I don't want to use caffeine anymore. It's just addictive and keeps me up at night. So I stopped for a while, no problem. Now every so often I'll take little caffeine pills, 200 milligrams. I think a coffee is 100, 150 milligrams. Sometimes I'll take pre-workout, very rarely, because I work out later in the day. It doesn't really line up with my sleep schedule. Anyway, I use it effectively, occasionally, maybe 2 times a week. Once on Saturday, once on Sunday. Sometimes once on the weekend. Sometimes I'll go a month without taking any. I just use it for more focus and productivity when I'm doing this YouTube work. So anyway, I'm Matt Bell. I like to live a physically, mentally, and spiritually healthy lifestyle. And my goal with these videos is to help you all do the same, and to make progress towards your goals and aspirations. So if you've got a problem in your life, or if you've got a big goal you're working on, let me know in the comments and I'll make you a video to help you out. Now, most of you are probably addicted to caffeine, if this demographic is anything like the people that I know. Everyone I know drinks caffeine. Most of them every single day. Like I said, I never liked coffee, so I'm not quite in that culture, but a lot of people just assume that you drink a coffee or 2 every day, just to get you going, and that becomes a problem very quickly. It's very hard to use it healthily if you're using it every single day, because you become addicted very quickly, and you build a tolerance very quickly. So you're not getting much benefit from it, if any, after a year of drinking it every day. And after a year of drinking it every day, it's definitely going to be hard to quit. And even by the end of the day, your brain's going to tell you, I want more caffeine. You're going to start getting headaches or just urges, anxiety. It's hard to focus on other stuff without caffeine. So if you're in this camp, you really should just trust me, go the 30 days without it. It's going to be a little bit hard at first. Pretty soon it's going to become easy, and you're going to notice that you wake up easier if you use it to wake up. You're going to be groggy in the morning at first, but pretty soon you're going to get that energy naturally, not just from caffeine. Once you're at this point where you don't need it and you don't have this high tolerance to it, that's when it can be used effectively. That's how I can use it once or twice on the weekend and see huge benefits from it. I notice that I'm sharper and more alert, it's easier to focus. And if you're taking it every day, you're just missing out on these benefits. It can also be great for lifting weights. If you track your lifts at all, I track every single weight, rep, and set. I notice that when I have pre-workout, I perform better. And it can be very helpful for that as well. If you're trying to make optimal gains, sometimes that's a good tool to use. If you're struggling with your addiction with caffeine, click the link in my bio. We've got one-on-one help for you. I can help you quit any addiction, build any good habit you want. Now I'm going to get into the benefits of caffeine. It's going to block adenosine, which is this sort of groggy neurotransmitter that is released in the morning. For about the first half hour to hour, probably feel a little bit groggy. Even if you're the kind of person that can just get up and go, probably feel a little bit groggy in the morning. That's adenosine. And what caffeine does is it binds the receptors and blocks the neurotransmitter from connecting. It's also going to increase noradrenaline, which is going to make you more alert, make you more focused, give you more physical strength and endurance, all sorts of benefits. Just sort of speeds up your brain. So if you're in this slower state, you've just woken up, or it's towards the end of the day and you've got to stay up later to study or work or whatever, you can use that to speed your brain back up, get into the state where it can focus, process quicker. If you're doing math equations in your head, caffeine will actually help you do those faster, and it even improves short-term memory. So a bunch of cognitive benefits. Essentially just makes you sharper and makes you stronger and more enduring. You can last longer in whatever physical activity you're doing. Now the negatives, like I said, you build up tolerance and dependency quite quickly with caffeine. So it's going to lose its effect, and you're going to have to keep taking it otherwise, or else you're going to have to suffer through withdrawal, headaches and cravings and everything. You probably experienced that before. You know what it's like. And you probably know what the crashes are like too. After you're coming down from the caffeine and your energy just tanks, and you feel like you either have to go to sleep or take more caffeine to keep going. That's no good, obviously. Caffeine also activates your central nervous system, which essentially puts you into the more fight or flight state. That gives you some of the benefits, like being more alert and quicker reaction times. But it's also got a whole bunch of other negative effects that you don't usually want. It's gonna spike your cortisol up, which is responsible for anxiety. It's good at certain times in the day. Your cortisol naturally goes up in the morning to wake you up and mellows out. But if you're having this really high elevated cortisol for a long period of time, that's no good. It's not good for the long term, for your heart, your mind. You're just gonna die quicker, to be honest. You know what it's like to be anxious and stressed out. It's not a good feeling. A lot of you guys are going to cope about this one. It is going to impact your sleep to some degree. You can say, no, I take it 6 hours before I go to sleep. I take it 10 hours before I go to sleep. If you wake up first thing and drink caffeine of any kind, it's going to impact your sleep at the end of the night. It stays in your system a lot longer than that. And if you take it, say, 10 hours, which is often recommended by some people, after that 10 hours, it's going to be diminished greatly. It's not going to be affecting you as much as it was when you first took it, but it's still impacting your sleep. And if you want to get the same quality of sleep and feel well rested, you're going to have to sleep for longer, or you're just going to wake up feeling less well rested than you usually do. Similar to with cortisol, it's going to throw a bunch of hormones out of their natural balance. Your body can regulate these pretty well, but if you're taking caffeine like twice a day, every single day, it's going to have an impact on them. And this very technical balance that your brain's got set up for hormones and neurotransmitters, if you're constantly adding drugs into it, it's going to mess it up, and it's not going to be able to regulate itself properly. It also messes with digestion. Like I said, it spikes cortisol, makes you kind of anxious. When you're anxious or in this fight or flight state, you probably have heard of rest and digest, which is the opposite state. There's a reason why it's called that. Your body needs time to relax, digest, heal your body, do all the repairs and maintenance that it's got to do every day. When you're in this fight or flight state, you're not supposed to be in it for very long. So it sort of shuts the other stuff down to focus on your physical capabilities and your mental alertness. So you're going to mess up your digestion if you're taking a lot, and it's going to dehydrate you. If you drink an energy drink, drink a coffee, or anything that's got water in them, but once your body processes that caffeine, you're at a net negative for water. So you're going to have to drink another glass of water just to counteract the effect of the caffeine. And then if you want to get more hydrated, you're going to have to drink water on top of that. So whenever you're taking caffeine, drink a lot of water. I've got water, salt, lemon juice to get some electrolytes. This is another way of staying sharp throughout the day. Sorry for the noise. If you often feel groggy in the morning, it could also just be dehydration. Your brain needs these electrolytes, salt, potassium, magnesium, all that, just to perform its, just for the brain to brain. It can't think if it doesn't have the right ingredients. So make sure your brain's got an optimal level of electrolytes. I recommend staying away from the sugary drinks. Sometimes you're in a pinch. It's hard to get electrolytes, I get it. So just look for the healthiest one. If you feel like crap, your body's not performing, your brain's not performing, just try some electrolytes. Caffeine can sort of mask that feeling, but it's not actually going to help you. It's just going to make you feel better. One last thing before I get into some tips on how to use it effectively. I forgot a part of my history with caffeine. There was a time when I was a baker at Panera. You may have heard they've got these, I think, charged lemonades. These great big cups. Every time we sell one, we had to let them know how much caffeine was in it. We have to say it's got more caffeine than a cup of coffee. Because there's been a few people now that have overdosed on caffeine from it and died. Probably some underlying issues, but that just shows how much caffeine it's got in it. It's a ton. So I'd get this great big cup, wouldn't even put ice in it, I'd fill it up with this energy drink, and then just chug that all day, sometimes refill it and drink it again. And I had a horrible time during those shifts. By halfway in, my hands are shaking, my stomach feels terrible, it's messing with my digestion. More anxious than I've ever been in my life during those shifts. Just overthinking everything, thinking about everything that could go wrong in life. Mine's just racing 1,000 miles a minute. I can't focus on my work. And that really showed me the dark side of caffeine, how it can be abused, and how it can make your life horrible, and you'll keep doing it because it's addictive. That was right before I decided to quit completely, and it was a little bit hard, but not really for me. Thankfully, I wasn't drinking that stuff for too long. Quickly realized what it was doing to me, so I got off of it. So keep an eye out on your mind state, how your brain and body feels after drinking caffeine. If you felt anything like me after drinking that, you should probably get off caffeine for a while. So now some tips. You may get jittery, like I said earlier. You may get this anxious feeling. L-theanine can sort of take the edge off. It's in a lot of pre-workouts. It's going to steady your hand, slow your thoughts down so you can focus better. It gives you this more controlled focus rather than the ADHD feeling that you sometimes get from it, where you're just getting distracted by everything. Your brain keeps going and going and going. So L-theanine, you can get a little pill. Just pop that after having some caffeine. And you should notice a difference. Like I said, it takes the edge off. And you shouldn't take it first thing, which a lot of you guys are. I see a lot of people drinking coffee. It's sort of their morning ritual. They wake up, they start the coffee maker. Like I said about adenosine, the sort of groggy or sleepy hormone in your brain, that's releasing for the first half hour to hour. And when you take the caffeine, it blocks the receptors, so the adenosine can't connect, and it just builds up. It's still releasing, so it's just building up. After the caffeine starts to wear off, then it all rushes in, and you get that crash. That's the caffeine crash. That doesn't always happen when you take caffeine, which a lot of people don't realize. Only happens when you take it first thing. I recommend taking it no more than 3 times a week. If you're using it more than half of all the days, then that's when it starts to become a problem. That's when you get more addicted. That's when you become dependent. And, the more you take it, the higher your tolerance is going to be. So just take it 3 times a week at most. Maybe you'll decide that you want it on the weekends for that extra boost. to get more housework or errands done, give you a little more enjoyment on the weekend. It is a bit of a mood booster, ups your dopamine, motivation, and everything. Or maybe you've got 3 days where you've got a really hard class, you can use it for that. But try to resist the temptation to use it every single day, because you're always going to want it. There's always going to be a benefit, but if you give in to that benefit, then the benefit disappears and you lose all the benefits that you were getting before. So try to use it in moderation, and I know some people can't. There's a reason why I take it 2 times a week at most when I'm really trying to grind, occasionally once a week, but I'd say more often than not, I go the whole week without taking any caffeine. That's because I've got an addictive personality. I'm going to want to keep taking it more and more after I see those benefits. If I take something and it makes me feel good, I'm going to want to keep taking it. That's hard to resist. So some people just shouldn't use it, or should use it in very moderate amounts. Use a lower dose if you have to. I would say go for a higher dose, 100 milligrams to 200 milligrams, if you really want to get a benefit to your study or work or sports. Or just use it less frequently, maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks. That's when you really see the benefits. Anyway, that's all I've got for you on caffeine today. I hope this helps you think about it more, whether you need to quit caffeine for some time or whether you should start using it for some benefits. Hope you learned something. Thanks for watching.